What's up guys, I am Uncivil Dude and welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about the problem with Invincible, which really goes down to his power level. So I feel like Invincible's power isn't very consistent throughout the show, like he's constantly being beaten and bested by villains that should be far weaker than himself, being a Viltrumite and all, which at first was fine because he was a brand new superhero with no experience, and he was just getting his powers and he was just getting into that kind of lifestyle. Of course, he's going to be inconsistent, but then season 3 comes around and his speed increases 65%, his endurance increases 70%, and his strength increases 138% due to the training mechanisms Cecil puts him through. Mark becomes quite powerful throughout season 3, and we see that he is probably the most powerful superhero on the planet. And he is perhaps on par with other Viltrumites who we see are capable of wiping out entire planets and civilizations single-handedly. He's also out here benching reps with the heaviest weights Cecil can make for him with his billions upon billions of dollar budget. So he's very strong and he is the only hope for planet Earth against the upcoming Viltrumite invasion. But then we see him struggling against these earthworms that are coming out of nowhere, and it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. If he is the only hope against the Viltrumites, how is he struggling against these earthworms? He has no reason to hold back against them since every single superhero has been captured at this point. Like, the other Viltrumites would probably be able to handle this situation within seconds, like Anissa. There's even the part when Multipole was trying to kill Rex and he was actually able to slow down Invincible, which is absolutely crazy. I feel like Invincible should just be able to tear through the clones and get to Rex. Then he gets shot by this nerve gun and it's able to put him out of commission. How is Omni-Man able to get hit with Cecil's billion-dollar satellite laser and only get a nosebleed, but Mark gets hit by this and it's enough to put him out of the fight? Mark's skin is thick enough to sit in molten lava. Why is a nerve gun doing this to him? This also undercuts the Viltrumite threat, because if all of these things seriously have enough force to kill or hurt Mark, then that means that there's at least 5 or 6 things on the Earth that could harm a Viltrumite, such as the earthworms. Why doesn't Cecil use the gun technology that the Mauler twins used against Mark? Why doesn't he use Doc Seismic's tech control on the worms? Why doesn't he create thousands of those sonic wave devices that he used against Mark? He clearly has the budget to do it. What's even more proof of this is when the Invincible War happens, there are loads of different heroes that come out of the woodworks who are able to kill these different Mark variants. But what's interesting is that whenever a Viltrumite shows up, Invincible suddenly becomes far more powerful. So whenever he's fighting a Viltrumite, he becomes way more durable, he's able to take way more dishes and way more harder hits, and also able to deal out way more harder hits that arguably hurt these Viltrumites. Now, if you take into account whenever he's fighting a Viltrumite, he suddenly gets like a power boost and becomes way more powerful, way more endurable, and he's able to just endure far more. He's able to deal out harder hits that actually hurt these Viltrumites. So when he gets almost killed by Omni-Man, and then he is dragged through the streets by Conquest, all of this should make him more durable when he's fighting these lower level villains, because he's literally been up against the most powerful people in the universe. Then we take into account the speed in which Viltrumites are capable, and Mark should just be so much faster than all of these other villains that, I mean, you saw Omni-Man flying around a planet within seconds. If Mark chose, he could be so much faster than these villains he's fighting and really take no damage from them. It's almost as if he's powerful, but he isn't really powerful enough, or he's holding back for some weird reason, which again, in some of these situations, he has no reason to hold back. Mark fights Lou in Conquest within roughly the same time period, so he doesn't improve vastly strength-wise, but he's able to hold in the fight with Conquest. He's able to, roll with the punches and ultimately come out on top. Do you really think that Lou would be able to do that? No, he would get absolutely washed by Conquest. So how is it when Mark is fighting Lou, he's able to be overwhelmed in both strength and speed? He took significant damage from Lou in that fight, which resulted in the prison being destroyed, but the Conquest fight was a way bigger scale. There were cities being toppled, buildings being destroyed. How fast were Conquest and Mark really moving? They were moving very fast, and Lou would just not be able to keep up in this fight. But when he's fighting Mark, he suddenly is able to keep up. So I mean, it seems that really what's going on is that Mark is weak whenever the plot demands him, and he's strong whenever the plot demands him, which really just isn't consistent, and I feel like it can confuse an audience. Like, okay, what's going on here? How is he struggling against these guys, but with these stronger guys he's able to like go paw to paw with them? And then like Rex's sacrifice doesn't really make a lot of sense, because I love Rex and all, and the way he went out was cool. He was able to take Mark with him, but realistically, should Mark have really died in that situation? Like, how much more powerful is exploding his skeleton gonna be? Because when he explodes the floor piece, it really only cracks the variant's glasses. Now with the Powerplex fight, I get that was more emotional, which in that situation it made sense for Mark to kind of hold back. And the thing is though, is with a lot of these other villains that he's fighting earlier, a lot of them are just mindless and not really, or pure evil, and it doesn't really make sense for Mark to hold back.